There's so much talk and hoopla about Black Monday, as it's called. So many fans calling for coaches to be fired.
Off with his head!
So many media members just as quickly as they can tweet out, Doug Peterson's been fired. And let me get it out first.
Shocker.
I just wanted to say this first. There are a lot of families that are going to now be displaced, a lot of jobs lost within coaching staffs. There's a lot of personal things that come with a lot of these firings. And specifically, you think that when you look at a guy who has spent so much time with one organization, has been appointed several years ago as the successor of Bill Belichick, to be the next head coach of the New England Patriots in Jerod Mayo, and then ends up getting 1 year and is, not even given the ability to address his team after he has been let go.
Wow.
He was let go after the game, and that was it. You would also assume that they made this decision without him knowing pretty quickly, considering the press release comes out about an hour and a half after the game.
It read well.
It did, which means it probably had been drawn up for some time. So let's start New England as we talk about some of the things that we're looking for in terms of these head coaching openings, how it affects the quarterback market, how it affects the other markets that maybe can be interchanged once coaches leave, who fills in, this, that. The reason we started with Jerod Mayo was this. I put something out on Underdog as I'm kind of a news reporter for us as well. I said there were certain teams that were going to contemplate moving on from their head coach because of the availability of Mike Vrabel. Maybe have conversations and make a move that they wouldn't if a coach the caliber of Mike Vrabel was not available. A rare commodity that many around the league I talked to believe Steve will not be available again for some time. So do the Patriots look like one of those? He's in the Hall of Fame there. He has a tight connection to the crafts. There's a lot of things to like about that job and a lot of things that I think they would like about Mike Vrabel. So that's one of the ways I wanted to start this, where patience is not a virtue in the NFL, Steve.
No.
We saw very little of it in New England. Your take on Jerod Mayo initially, and with the thought that it's because Mike Vrabel's available.
I think it's tough with Jerod Mayo being fired, and you look at the circumstances. He's a rookie head coach, not a coordinator. He was a coordinator, which is different responsibilities, a head coach. He had a rookie quarterback. Defense, they don't have outside of Christian Gonzalez. They don't have a decent corner over there. Their wide receivers, Pop Douglas has started to show. Keyshawn Butte, he's starting to kind of show some things, right, that he can play. Polk has struggled a little bit. Javon Baker, they've had some issues with him. It's really, when you talk about this team, you knew it was going to be more than a 1 year or 9 month process.
100% agree.
Well, why did you let him go and not give him at least another years? Because there's no patience, and there's always the new Carr syndrome. Well, Vrabel's been here. He knows how we want to do it. And maybe, it wasn't his time. Jerod Mayo, maybe they rushed it.
I think that's true.
The hire and the fire. Because do you know anything about, I don't, I've never been a head coach. What is it like going from a coordinator to a head coach? What things happen that complicates things or makes it an easy or tough process?
I had this conversation on Saturday with a head coaching candidate that is already has interviews lined up, and has been a head coach before. And so we talked about this, and this is great because we had a very specific conversation. He said, Ben Johnson is an outstanding play caller. He said he may be the best play caller in the NFL. But I will tell you right now, because I had to go through it from being a play caller to a head coach, there is zero chance in his first year as a head coach that he will be the same play caller. It's just impossible.
Really? Why?
Because on your door, every 5 minutes, what's up? What's up? Everybody needs you as the head coach.
Who's everybody?
Whether it's your coordinators knock every day. I need to do this. What do you need me to do with this? What do you need me to do this? Your position coaches come in every day. The training staff, Steve, knocks on your door 3 times a day to tell you what's going on with
For
the
what?
players that are banged up. Hey, this guy won't be able to practice today. Hey, this guy's dealing with this. This guy might be out 2 weeks. Those are all conversations that are taking up time out of your 24 hours.
Then you have to adjust the game plan because you just found out.
Exactly, and adjust practice.
Yeah.
Okay, now this guy, even if it's a guy that's not a big part of your game, but this guy was supposed to play this dude on scout team. Now we got to move this guy over. How do we adjust who's going to play him during Wednesday and Thursday's practice? And then, by the way, here comes Chad Steele, and he's knocking on your door going, hey, we're going to need you to do this. CBS is in town, and we need you to talk to Jim Nantz, and we need you to do this. He said your hours are just not there like they are as a coordinator. So he said it is impossible because you don't get the same amount of time to spend on your scheme, to spend on your design, as you would as a coordinator. So he said this is nothing against Ben Johnson. This is nothing against him. This is every single guy that goes from coordinator to head coach, which is also, he said, the reason why oftentimes there is a veteran coordinator you grab as the guy on the other side of the ball, right? Who did Sean McVay start with? Wade Phillips. Like you get a guy that you're hoping.
A former head coach.
A former head coach. You're hoping you can get a guy that can run half of your roster essentially. And go, I don't got to worry about
the
that.
defense.
The defense, right? I don't have to worry about that. It's a big reason why, I will add this as well, I've talked to a number of head coaching candidates that were ecstatic that Lou Anarumo was fired. Because they are looking to hire him as their defensive coordinator if they get a head coaching job. Lou, you take care of the defense. They think the world of Lou. And I think they he's a great coach.
Man, I love Lou, and I think when you will look at Lou and his defense, he's kind of gotten the raw end of the stick a little bit just because of the short end of the straw, because he's thrown under the bus, just like the San Francisco 49ers let go of their special teams coordinator, which I think has done a great job. But that's kind of the throw one of your assistants under the bus, because that's to say, hey, it's not me. This was what was going on. But I would imagine Lou did not sit there and say, hey, Jesse Bates, that Pro Bowler, we got another one of him in the back. Let him
we got
go.
another DJ Reader on this defensive line, right?
We got a ton of DJs.
Exactly. So I do think, with what you asked me about that adjustment, Jerod Mayo, they knew there were going to be growing pains. They knew that he was going to have to learn a lot on the fly. I don't like the statement from Robert Kraft that says he probably got this job a year or two earlier than he should have in terms of being ready. We only say that if there's a succession plan in place for the guy to come in.
Well,
you don't say that when you hire
should.
him. Exactly. And another part with the succession plan, and I know this out of New England, oftentimes the mentor is supposed to help the other guy. That wouldn't happen at all with Bill Belichick. He was not sitting there going, hey, Jerod, you know what you should do in this situation when you take over is, no, that's not happening at all. And so this was a job that was 100%, to my understanding, secure at the start of December, which is fascinating what happened over the last several weeks. And it's why Mike Vrabel, in my opinion, has thrown this coaching circuit and cycle for a loop, and has changed the dynamic of the way that this entire situation has been handled throughout the course of the league. And the other part that goes into that is everything that I just said. There's a lot of second time around head coaching candidates in this cycle, and that's for the many reasons that I just described to you earlier.
So with that going on, I have a list of head coaches not fired, head coaches fired, and then I got them on both where these guys it's a question mark. Will they stay? Let's go down this list.
Okay.
Tennessee, head coach that was not fired, no GM, so that's going to be interesting. Now you have the first overall pick. Are they going to get Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, or Travis Hunter? Those are the three people. Does Tennessee, with the first overall pick, do they go, do we do a rookie and start all over? Or do we get a bridge? Or do you have the most dynamic football player that can be on both sides of the football with Travis Hunter?
You roll out Will Levis again?
Oh, Will Levis is out of there. He may not be cut, but he ain't playing.
Still got that Mayo money.
You got a better chance of all the mayonnaise in that state coming up missing before Will Levis gets back on the field during a game with the Tennessee Titans. You got me?
Mm-hmm.
does Travis Hunter, the most dynamic player in there, and give you the most tread on the tires playing both sides of the field? Because they do need some corners as well. Then you got the Colts with their rookie quarterback, bridge or rookie. Cleveland, bridge or rookie. But what leads me to anything is Jerod Mayo made me think about the Jets and the Giants. And for me, when I look at the Giants, Brian Daboll needs a quarterback. That defense, they can add some more pieces, and all of a sudden, you got a top defense.
Well, they got a core in place in New York, Steve.
They have a core, and you're on a hot seat. You know damn well I'm not getting no rookie. I'm on a hot seat. I don't have that kind of time anymore. So
there are some people in the league, Steve, that do believe if you draft a rookie at the top of the draft, you do acquire some patience because you know it's a first-time player. I would think if the Titans go Shedeur Sanders number 1 overall, I think that almost extends Brian Callahan's time in Tennessee. Because now I'm working with the guy I picked for the first time, and now let's see what can happen. With Tennessee, real quick, and we'll jump to those other teams. Do you think Ran Carthon being let go this quickly after 2 seasons adds to the appeal of Mike Vrabel? Because in my opinion, it does. There's a big reason why he was out in Tennessee, because of his relationship with the new general manager, Ran Carthon, and the way he saw things and the way Ran saw things. The way he wanted the organization to be run, the way Ran wanted the organization to be run. To me now it looks like, again, like maybe you should have never let Mike go in the first place. And I think it almost, as quickly as Tennessee moves on, maybe makes the firing of Mike Vrabel in Tennessee even more, suspect in a lot of people that are looking for a head coach going, I don't think now I'm thinking there's even fewer things that Mike's done wrong and should be still a head coach. I'm curious about that. So with the quarterbacks, we saw a change. You mentioned Indianapolis. We saw a change on that staff. Very similar. Somebody has to, we did terrible. Somebody other than the head coach has to take one. It's Gus Bradley. They fire him as a defensive coordinator, but they still need to figure out Anthony Richardson. I think he plays all of 2025. He has lost his scholarship, and he needs to earn it back. I think he plays the entire season because they need to make the decision. He's the 4th pick overall. He's barely played. Now, I've talked to enough defensive coordinators that say he cannot play.
He cannot play.
That is the opinion around the league. So I don't know what they do.
Hold on. So if he plays and he stinks it up, does the coach get fired?
I think you have to look at every situation's an individual
situation.
Hell no. And Jim Irsay is.
If you make me play this kid and I get fired, man, I'm getting fired going postal. Woo! Wait, somebody gonna catch something. And I ain't talking about no code either. Ooh, wait.
So, move on to the next one. Cleveland. Stefanski stays in place. Offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey is let go. But the blending of offenses just oftentimes does not work.
Didn't work.
A variety of schemes, it doesn't work. They're going to go back to that Gary Kubiak scheme that Stefanski runs very, very well.
That Kubiak offense doesn't really work with a mobile quarterback. That is a stationary stand. Go through your progressions. That tells me Deshaun Watson, writing on the wall, you're going to get paid to watch.
We injured the Achilles, so he's most likely not going to play in 2025.
Re-injured.
We don't know what happened specifically. You've had an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else can happen.
I can assume, but I wasn't there, so I'm not going to say. But then that means the kid from UCLA. DTR. He's a mobile guy.
His mom doesn't like that, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Yeah.
Okay.
His mom doesn't like DTR.
So those 2 mobile quarterbacks who are the RPO game, and what Ken Dorsey has experience with Josh Allen and Cam Newton, that tells me that Kevin Stefanski is going to go back to calling plays. So that means they're going in a whole different direction offensively with the quarterback, the same way how David Njoku started to raise his game when they had Joe Flacco and they made a push to the playoffs and all of that stuff. So I can see some things changing that is telling you where that direction is going.
In that offense, Steve, how many quarterbacks did they play 2 years ago when we got to the postseason? Stefanski found a way to make it work with a lot of those guys. I think they played 5 guys 2 years ago, and they made the postseason.
Trying to find his right one.
Yeah, and so to me, I know they're picking towards the top of the draft. They're looking in the draft, to my understanding. And it's early, and they're going to evaluate where they stand. There's really only two guys in a lot of people's minds, like you mentioned, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders at the top. Could this be a Kirk Cousins landing spot? Could this be a Aaron Rodgers landing spot?
I got to add him to the list. Ooh.
Here's the deal, people. All season long, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Only on Underdog. Pick higher or lower on your favorite player, and you can join the millions of fans winning millions this season. Sign up today using promo code UD89, and you'll get a free pick as part of your first cash entry, plus $1,000 in bonus cash. Again, promo code UD89 to cash in on every touchdown this season, only on Underdog. Could this be a Kirk Cousins landing spot? Because Kirk knows that really well. Kirk knows a lot of intricacies of that offense, and it's going to be similar to a Russell Wilson situation. If you were going to acquire Kirk Cousins, to my understanding, right? The Falcons are playing the majority of what he's.
Okay. You said Russell Wilson. I got.
The finances could be somewhat similar to what Cleveland has.
You mean the other team's paying?
The other team's paying. So those are type of guys that I think a bridge is something that they're definitely going to look at in Cleveland. All right, now let's go to New York.
Hold on. Let's go through these quarterbacks. Justin Fields, he's on his 5th year. Pittsburgh Steelers have the rights. They only given up a 6th-round draft pick. They have the rights to extend, do that rookie option. Russell Wilson.
You would assume he'd stay.
Aaron Rodgers. Sam Darnold. Kirk Cousins. Is a JJ McCarthy available? Joe Flacco?
Spicy.
Trey Lance?
No.
Carson Wentz just showed us he's still that same Carson Wentz, Mr. Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett. Those are the people who have had snaps, or people would say, based on contract, draft status, that these are guys who should get first dibs at these vacancies for these teams or head coaches or general managers or new offense coordinators to help run their team when these guys get new coaches or new general managers, because a new coach generally likes his guy. He doesn't like to work with a guy that wasn't his guy.
Okay, well, let's talk about who's available and who's not available. Just by guessing on the landscape, talked to 2 different guys that are up for the GM job in New York with the Jets. Both of them said if they got the job, they told me I would most likely be moving on from Aaron Rodgers. So you would assume if he wants to continue to play, Aaron hasn't decided that yet, but he is someone that could be available. And I also think with Aaron, real quick, he's not asking for the world. He's taken pay cuts recently. He knows where he stands. He's obviously an enigma. I don't think he's going to hold you over the coals money-wise if he wants a good situation. What if he landed in Pittsburgh? What if he thought he could maybe play in Cleveland with a roster that's not terrible, right? So his availability looks like it is there. With Sam Darnold, spoke to another GM who said, and this is just his opinion, he does not run the Vikings, but he said, I don't see how you don't keep Sam Darnold. Like, I don't see how you have him do that the way the locker room thinks of him, the way Kevin O'Connell thinks of him, and you're going to let him walk.
You talking about the Sam Darnold before?
This conversation was before Sunday night. Well, I don't know. Kevin O'Connell's one calling every pass play in the red zone, but
Kevin O'Connell was not making a decision on. That boy had that hot feet. Throw the ball.
Yeah. So if he's not available and he stays in Minnesota, does JJ McCarthy become available, or do they keep both? Remember, Sam Darnold's still just 27. JJ McCarthy's still just 21 years old right now. He's much younger than these other guys who came out, whether it's Penix or Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels. The belief around the league, Steve, is if JJ McCarthy was coming out in this draft, he's clear-cut number 1, well over Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. It's not even close. So does that make teams continue to call Minnesota, even though Minnesota says we're not trading? If I'm the Giants and I'm all the way up there at the top of the draft, would you rather lose that first-round pick in next year's first-round pick and get JJ McCarthy, or try to find a way to maneuver for one of these 2 quarterbacks? Or do you go bridge? You're right. There's a lot of options for Brian Daboll and not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time, but the options are a little bit like the options he just experienced with Daniel Jones. seeing can Daniel Jones play like you're saying the Colts will have to do, but look how it ended up. And it made it tough to watch, tough to coach, made it impossible to win games. Then you go, okay, do I get a bridge guy like Aaron Rodgers, who generally hasn't played in this type of offense that I call the plays versus Aaron likes to call the plays on the field? I look at Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins. Is it a trade with JJ McCarthy, or is it a trade like the Jacksonville Jaguars with a Trevor Lawrence? Because you go, those guys were idiots. They don't know what they're doing. I can fix them. He can't be worse than what we already had.
Are you telling me coaches think that way? Wait till I get my hands on him. Every coach.
Wait till I get
way.
my hands on. Yeah, and so I
I don't
see,
think.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't see the Jaguars, Steve, putting themselves in that world as we're talking about the limited options that these teams have. Whether it's a bridge, whether it's an aging off an Achilles, Cousins or Rodgers, whether it's Justin Fields, whether you have to give up draft capital to acquire JJ McCarthy if he becomes available. I don't think the Jaguars want to put themselves in that pool. We already have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
By the way, in the first year with Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence was very good. And
he was.
They should have beat the Chiefs.
Yes, they should have.
In the second round of the postseason. And it's regressed in a sense. Which we'll see what ends up. I don't see them making a change. I think that's one of the appeals of Jacksonville. Trent Baalke's one of the of Jacksonville.
What's the
It made the job less appealing.
Ooh,
them keeping Trent
really?
Baalke made the job less appealing to the people I've talked to for the head coaching opening, for sure.
Why is that?
Because I would say
you still there? This thing working?
Yeah. Because it is very clear and it is very evident that he has the ear of Shad Khan. It's one of the worst kept secrets in the NFL. When you're down there coaching on the field, Steve, some general managers are sitting in the owner's box.
What?
That's a disadvantage for the head coach. That is a disadvantage for the head coach.
Why? What they over there? He over there pillow talking?
Yeah, listen. It's like I tweet. It's like I put out on the X. Yeah, it's like I put out on the X, man. If apocalypse comes, attach yourself to the hip of Trent Baalke because you're gonna survive somehow. He is a survivor. He is an absolute survivor.
Wow.
So I think that changes the perception down there for the head coaching candidates for sure. Derek Carr, if you want to bring him into the mix as well.
Yeah, the Saints.
I think he stays with New Orleans another year.
He already said too, according to, he said, I ain't taking a pay cut. Did he say it in third person? That's when you know somebody mad. When they say it in third person.
Especially if they weren't wearing sleeves. Like Derek often does. Derek Carr will not take a pay cut.
Breakaway sleeves, like breakaway pants. You remember those? I used to wear. I had a pair of those.
Breakaway pants were the coolest. End of basketball warm-ups in high school, if you ripped those things off, you felt like you could fly.
Hey, just don't forget your shorts. Surprise! Oh, man. Okay, Cowboys.
Dak ain't going anywhere.
Raiders, they decided, so do the Raiders draft a quarterback again? Jets draft a quarterback? Oh, man.
The point of this is, Steve, and this is why you and I wanted to talk about it, it's musical chairs, and somebody's going to be sitting there going, we don't have a quarterback.
Somebody. A few.
Multiple. Yeah. So that's the hard part, especially I think this draft and lack of talent coming out of this draft at the quarterback position changes the free agent market and changes the market for bridges. It will make Sam Darnold have all the leverage in the world, it appears. Because if he hits the open market, he's here, and nobody else is probably even close in terms of his availability.
Sam Darnold is going to be able. He can rob a bank with no note and a butter knife. That's how deadly he is right now. Just the way his performance is pretty cool. But so let me ask you. So with this market and these coaches, what does it do for a Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, a Kenny Pickett, those type of guys?
I think Kenny Pickett's probably above the other two. Speaking to people, I'm sorry, like I wish he would have gotten more of a chance to play in Dallas, but the perception of Trey Lance is he can't play. The accuracy is just borderline unfixable.
Inconsistent.
Yeah. Well, inconsistent's better. Scratch my part. The accuracy is inconsistent. And Carson, I will say this, talking to the Chiefs on week 18, I had some guys on that staff tell me what Carson's camp was the best camp that they have seen in recent memory outside of Patrick Mahomes. He had an outstanding training camp.
And he's seen him before.
And and so I know this, Andy wants him to get a starting job somewhere. And Andy believes he can be a starter somewhere. Now, what happened out on week 18 wasn't anything that's going to sell that all that much. But there are plenty of people in the Chiefs building that believe he can be a starter again in this league. And we've seen guys spend a year, a la Sam Darnold, with a really great offensive mind for a season. And that changes them if they land in the next spot. That's a very favorable spot to them. We'll see. I mean, he's probably playing in a very limited talent pool. So it maybe benefits Carson Wentz.
This is crazy to me, man. I'm just looking at this sheet and it's like Cowboys quarterback. You know, Dak Prescott is not moving on. He's doing a great job, but some of the errors and some of the problems they have in the Cowboys is not at the quarterback position. Then you got the Raiders. They have their situation. There's some question mark on that whole, how much talent do they really have on that team outside of the DN and the tight end? Right? After that is suspect. The Jets, what they have going on, they got a strong defense, right? DJ Reader, one of their best corners. He's going to hit free agency. A lot of team, he going to get paid and it's going to make a team better. But do you start over and understanding that there's some offensive issues? Garrett Wilson out here, he's not necessarily, all peaches and cream. It's not kumbaya. So you have that going on. Devontae Adams is probably gone. Alan Lazard may be on his way out as well because of his quarterback. Now you got a whole receiver crew that's going. Conklin's probably gone, who's doing a good job, but he's getting older. You got receiver, tight end. You're going to lose a corner with Mosley. He's probably going to have to take a reduced salary or released, and they need a quarterback. There's a lot of areas to fix. It sounds like, man, is this like kind of a reboot and a 100%. Restructure and blow everything up? And so does that mean that everybody is available for cash and draft picks?
Total reboot. I think the best selling point of the Jets
I'm unpacking honestly, this as we talk right now.
I can see your face. You could say, Steve, you could make the argument that the number one selling point of the Jets opening is that you would possibly have the ability to come in completely in sync, head coach and GM, on what you want to do, because they're both open. That's not the case at any of the other locations, right? So you do have the ability to come in with a clear vision between head coach and GM. Either you come in together or one comes in and brings the other one in or whatever it is. To me, that's like the only real selling point right now to the Jets is that you do come in with a unified vision between head coach and GM, which is what everybody is trying to accomplish in this league. The other parts, it's a mess. I have heard that some of the allure to it is, but man, if you clean up the Jets, do you know like the allure of that? Like if you have that on your wall, the Jets that have just not been able to, and you're the one who cleans it up, like there's a sexiness to that with some of the people that are looking at that job. I do think somebody like Aaron Glenn would be great there if you're looking to kind of change the way things are. But yeah, it's a messy situation, which is why these teams spend so much money during these searches to try to find the guy who's going to be the next leader of their organization. And I mean, the Bears have a quarterback. As you're talking about your quarterback, they have a quarterback. They're a somewhat favorable situation for the head coach. We'll see where they go. The other part we haven't talked about is the coordinators that end up leaving. If Ben Johnson leaves, this is a different, probably different Jared Goff, probably different Lions team. I know they have a succession plan in place already, because when you get somebody that good, you don't sit on your hands and don't have it set up. But it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Liam Cohen leaves. Is Tampa the same on offense?
Bro, it's goodness gracious.
Moving parts this offseason, man.
It's a ton of moving parts.
Yeah. Wouldn't you just say if you're Washington or you're Denver, and you found the guy
what you want?
In this last head coach?
What you want?
In this
How much
last
you need?
Quarterback, you're in a good spot. You're comfortable.